and welcome to today's English video lesson. I hope you enjoyed chapter 1 of our class text yesterday. We're going to start today's video lesson with chapter 2.
Chapter 2. The Boy with the Lion Eyes. For the rest of the day, I kept sneaking glances over my shoulder at the new boy and noticed that everyone else was doing the same. Most of the time, he kept his head down low, but every so often I'd catch him staring right back at us. He had the strangest colours eyes I'd ever seen, like a bright ocean, but on a half-sunny, half-cloudy day. They were grey and silvery blue with specks of golden brown. They reminded me of a programme I saw about lions once. The camera operator had zoomed into a lion's face so much that its eyes had taken up the whole screen. The new boy's eyes were like those lion's eyes. They made you want to never stop staring. When Tom joined our class last year, I had stared at him a lot too. I didn't mean to, but I kept imagining that he came from an American spy family, like the ones you see in the movies. He told me later that he had thought there was something wrong with me. The new boy probably thought there was something wrong with me too, but it's hard to stop staring at new people, especially when they have eyes like a lion's. We had geography in first period that morning, so we couldn't get up to say hello to the new boy. Then, at break time, I looked around the playground for him, but couldn't see him anywhere. In second period, we had PE, but the new boy didn't join in. He sat in the corner, staring at his rucksack, which was red with a black stripe on it, and looked very dirty. I thought he must have forgotten his PE kit, because his bag looked empty and saggy. I tried waving at him, but he never looked up, not even once. Whenever we do PE, I like to pretend that I'm training to join Tintin on an adventure and have to be the super fastest human being on the planet. The only problem is my legs aren't as long as I want them to be yet, so even when I jump as hard as I can, I always get stuck in the middle of the vault. Every birthday, I make a wish that I'll grow at least 4 inches taller, and I drink as much milk as I can so that my bones will stretch. But even though I'm 9 3/4 now, I've only grown 1.5 inches since my last birthday. Or at least that's what my mum says. I tried my best to jump over the vault in one go in front of the new boy, but I got stuck again. Luckily, he didn't see me because he was staring at his rucksack the whole time. After PE, we had lunch break, and Josie, Tom, Michael and me decided that we would try and find the new boy so that he wasn't all on his own. We waited right next to the playground doors, but the new boy never came out. Tom even went to check the boys' toilets, because that's where he had tried to hide on his first day when he didn't know anyone, but there was no one there. Maybe he's having lunch with the lower grades by mistake, said Josie, but when we got into the lunch hall, we couldn't see him anywhere. In the afternoon, we had history, and we were split into groups, but the new boy was allowed to sit on his own and not join in. Mrs. Kant spent more time with him than she did with any of our groups, and she was pointing at things in a new workbook she had gotten him. Maybe he's deaf, someone whispered. Maybe he can't speak English, muttered someone else. There's definitely something wrong with him, whispered everyone. That afternoon, I don't think any of us learnt about what it's like to be a gladiator living in Roman times, because we were all too busy whispering about the new boy. He must have known what we were doing, because his face was red the whole time. Then, at last break, he disappeared again. He must be inside, said Michael, after we had finished searching the whole playground for the 3rd time in a row. By now, my lemon sherbets were getting sticky in my pocket and beginning to look like bright yellow fuzzballs. At home time, everyone was still talking about the new boy and wondering who he was. I think it was because a whole day had passed and no one knew anything about him except for his name, not even Clarissa, and she had been sitting right next to him. People kept running up to her to ask if the new boy had said anything to her, but she just shook her head and said he was using a lower yearbook, so his reading and writing mustn't be very good. On our way to the bus stop, we saw everyone crowding around Jenny just outside the front gates. Jenny is famous in school for always knowing something about everything, so we ran over to hear what she was saying. Jenny is in the class next door and has the longest hair in school. She likes to spy on people and then tell stories about them to other people. Sometimes the stories are true, but most of the time they're only half true because she makes things up. Last year she told a story about Josie cheating in a football match by pretending to fall down so she could get a penalty kick. But I was there, and so was Tom, and we both saw her fall down after being kicked in the leg by an upper boy called Robert. She had a big fat bruise on her leg the shape of Australia, for weeks afterwards. But no matter how many times we showed everyone the bruise and told them what really happened, no one believed us, not even the people who were there. Sometimes I think everyone likes to believe a lie, even when they know it's a lie, because it's more exciting than the truth. And they especially like to believe it if it's printed in a newspaper. I know that now. I also know why Mum says politicians are liars and always shouts at them whenever they come on the telly. Maybe Jenny will be a politician when she grows up. When we got closer, we heard Jenny telling everyone that the new boy had spent all his break time with Mrs. Sanders because he had done something bad in his old school and was too dangerous to be let out into the playground with us. But I didn't believe her. I could tell Michael didn't believe her either, because he asked her how she knew so much about it. Jenny got angry and crossed her heart and hoped to die that she had heard Mr. Owen talking to Mrs. Timms outside the teacher's staff room, and that both of them had said how sorry they feel for Mrs. Khan, and how glad they were that the new boy wasn't in their class because it wasn't going to be easy to deal with. But before we could ask her any more questions, Jenny's dad began to beep at her from his car, so she ran off. We all watched her go and then looked back through the school gates to see if the new boy had come out, but we couldn't see him anywhere. "He's probably left already," said Josie. Tom and Michael nodded. "Let's just wait 2 more minutes," I said, hoping that he would still be inside. And I was glad I did, because a few seconds later the new boy came out into the playground. He was holding Mrs. Khan's hand and staring at the ground. A woman who was waiting by the outdoor benches suddenly shouted, "Cooey!" and ran over to them. She was wearing a long brown coat, a woolly hat and a bright red scarf. She stood and talked to Mrs. Khan for a long time and nodded an awful lot, but we couldn't hear anything because we were standing too far away. "I wonder if that's his mum," said Josie. I didn't think so because the new boy didn't hug her at all and seemed shy around her too. "Come on," said Michael. He was pointing to his watch, which was beeping like a submarine. Michael has a special watch that tells him where the next bus is coming. It's meant to help him get to places on time, but I've only ever seen it make him bump into things more quickly. "No, wait," I said, and before I could think about it too much, I ran over to where the new boy was standing. "Hello," I said, tapping him on the shoulder. Mrs. Khan and the woman in the red scarf looked down at me as I reached into my pocket and got out the lemon sherbet. "Here," I said, holding it out. I was a little bit embarrassed because by now the sherbet was covered in fluff, but it was still good enough to eat. That's the good thing about lemon sherbets. No matter how bad they look, they still always taste delicious. I think I must have spoken too loudly because the new boy took a step away from me as though he was frightened. "It's all right, Ahmet. You can take it," said the woman, motioning to him with her hands as if she was speaking in sign language. But the new boy grabbed her hand and hid his face behind her arm. I didn't know what to do because I've never really scared anyone so much before that they wanted to hide away from me. The woman spoke to him gently again, and after a few seconds he took the sherbet and looked straight at me with his lion eyes before hiding away again. "Thank you," said the woman. She looked at me and gave me a smile. I liked her deep brown eyes because they seemed kind, and her bright pink cheeks. But what I liked best of all was how her long blonde hair swirled around in the wind from underneath her hat. Ahmet will enjoy this on the ride home. I nodded and then ran back to where Josie and Tom and Michael were waiting for me. I felt extra happy because Mrs. Khan had smiled at me with her whole face and had given me a wink too, just like my dad used to do whenever he thought I'd done something good or when he was teasing my mum. When I'm a grown-up, I'm going to wink at people just like he used to do and make them feel special too. And as we made our way home, I decided that the next day, whenever I saw the new boy staring at me, I was going to give him just as many winks as I could. I hope you enjoyed Chapter 2 of our new class text, The Boy at the Back of the Class. Today, we got to know a little bit more about the new character in our story, Ahmet. After meeting him, I want you to now use the description in the book to draw a picture of what you think he looks like. Think about everything we have learnt about Ahmet. After you have done that, around the outside, just like we did with the 4 other characters yesterday, write down anything that we know about Ahmet, anything that we've learnt about him so far. Pause the video now to have a go at drawing your picture of Ahmet and writing down any information about him. Okay, these are some of the things that you might have found out and written down about Ahmet. We found out in the book that he has strange coloured eyes that are grey and silvery colour, blue almost with specks of golden brown. We found out that Ahmet doesn't really speak. We found out that he's quite shy. He doesn't join in with the PE lesson, and he doesn't join in with the other history lessons and the geography lessons that they do during the day. He doesn't come outside to play at lunch break. He keeps his head down low and stares at the ground a lot, and he has a dirty red and brown rucksack. Well done if you managed to write down any of those things and find out any other bits about Ahmet. So, now we have read Chapter 1 and 2, we know a lot more about the 5 main characters in the story and what started to happen so far. We are now going to read different sections of the text and have a go at using our Viper skills to answer some questions about what's happened so far. The first Viper skill we are going to look at is our Retrieve Viper skill. So here we are going to be skimming and scanning the text to find the answer to our question. First, have a go at reading this section of the text yourself, and then answer the Retrieve question. What animal does the narrator say Ahmet's eyes remind him of? Is it a lion, is it a bear, or is it a tiger? Pause the video now, read the text, and have a go at answering the question. You can write down the answer on a piece of paper if you would like to. Okay, So now you've had a little go to read the text and have a think about that retrieve question, we can reveal the answer. Of course, it was a lion. Ahmet's eyes reminded the narrator of a lion he had seen once on a programme. Here in the text it says they reminded me of a programme I saw about lions once. The camera operator had zoomed into a lion's face so much that its eyes had taken up the whole screen. The new boy's eyes were like those lions' eyes. Okay, the next Viper skill we're going to look at is our inference Viper. So, have a go at reading this section of the text yourself, and then have a think about the question, why does Tom go to check the toilets? Remember, when we are inferring, we are putting ourselves in the shoes of the character. So have a think about why Tom is doing what he does. Look for the keywords in the text and read around the keywords that you find. Can you write your answer down on a piece of paper using a full sentence? Remember your capital letters and your full stops and a word that you might use to explain and justify how you know the answer. Pause the video now to have a go at answering that question. Okay, so why does Tom go to check the toilets? That's right, everybody. Well done. Tom goes to check the toilets to see if Ahmet is hiding there because that is where he hid on his first day at school. In the text, it says Tom even went to check the boys' toilets because that's where he had tried to hide on his first day when he didn't know anyone, but there was no one there. Well done on using your fantastic inference skills to answer that question, everybody. Okay, we've got another inference question here. So have a go at reading this section of the text yourself, and then with your inference hat on again, have a go at answering the question, why is the new boy's face red? Remember to put yourself in the shoes of the character of the new boy and have a think about why his face might have been red in that section of the text. Again, you can have a go at writing your answer down in a full sentence and remembering to justify how you know. So let's have a look at the answer. Why is the new boy's face red? The new boy's face is red because he is embarrassed that they are all staring at him and whispering him. In the text, we can see the key word face was red is just here. So if we read around that, it says he must have known what we were doing because his face was red the whole time. Before it tells us that all the children in the class were too busy whispering about him. Well done for remembering to justify your answer by using the word because and remembering your punctuation when writing out your answer to that sentence. Let's have a look at the next question now. It's a retrieve Viper skill again, so we need to skim and scan to help us find the answer to this question. Read this section of the text and then see if you can name 2 things that the woman by the bench was wearing. Be very careful as in the question it says 2 things, so we only want to write down 2 things that she was wearing. Pause the video now to read the text and have a go at writing down your answer. Okay, so in the text it tells us 3 things that the woman was wearing. It says she was wearing a long brown coat, a woolly hat and a bright red scarf. Because the question just wanted us to write down 2 things, you could have picked just 2 things, either the long coat and the hat and the scarf, or the coat and the scarf as the answer to your question. Well done, everybody. Stay tuned for our next question. We've got another retrieve question here, so again, skimming and scanning to find the answer to the question. Read the text and then answer the question, why did the narrator feel extra happy? Remember to use the text to explain and justify your answer. Pause the video now and have a go at writing it down. So I'm going to skim and scan the text for our keyword extra happy because I want to know why the narrator is feeling happy. So if I look through the text, I'm looking for the word happy. Oh, here we go. I feel extra happy. So now I'm going to read around that keyword to see if I can find out why the narrator was feeling extra happy. I felt extra happy because Mrs. Khan had smiled at me with her whole face and had given me a wink too. So the narrator felt extra happy because Mrs. Khan smiled and gave a wink. So we've found the keyword in the text and we've used the word because to explain how we know. Okay, so for this question, we're going to use our explain Viper skill. Thinking about the whole of chapter 2 that we've read today, you're going to explain one thing that Ahmet does that shows you he is shy. You can go back and listen to the chapter again if you need to, and have a think about one thing Ahmet does that shows us as readers that he is shy. Have a go at writing your answer down in a full sentence, remembering to justify and give reason for your answer. Pause the video now and have a go at writing your answer down. Okay, so the question asks us to use the whole of the chapter to help us with our answer. So there's a couple of things that you might have been able to write down. Ahmet shows he is shy by not speaking at all in the chapter. You might have also written that Ahmet shows he is shy by looking at the ground a lot. You could have also written, Ahmet shows the reader he is shy by not joining in with any of the lessons. You might have also said that he doesn't hug the lady who picks him up. He also hides his face behind the lady's arm when his friend comes over and tries to give him a lemon sherbet sweet. 2. So for our final Viper skill today, we're going to have a look at the predict Viper. I want you to have a think about what you think Ahmet will do next in the story. We're not going to talk about the answer today because on Monday, you're going to have chapter 3 read to you in your reading video lesson. So come back on Monday and you'll find out if your prediction is correct or not.
Well done on all your fantastic comprehension work today. Your next reading video will be with you on Monday morning by Mrs. Evans and Mrs. Price. Hope you have a lovely weekend, everyone. Well done on your fantastic hard work this week. See you soon.